So, Alan, who knows? Maybe Tiger Woods is the cover story next week for Sports Illustrated. This week, it's your story on Dwyane "The Rock" Johnson. Give us a quick nutshell here on how did this failed football player, and failed is kind of relative, but he was the backup to Warren Sapp at the University of Miami, to becoming the biggest name in Hollywood right now.
Yeah, it's interesting because this assignment just fell into my lap. I mean, I'm not a wrestling fan. I'm not sure I've seen any of The Rock's movies. So I kind of had to educate myself. And I knew he'd played at the U, and that was all I knew. But it was fun to really dig into his football life. And Dwyane loved talking about it because he's been doing press for months for all these movies he has coming out, and it's the same old questions. And we started drilling down on his football days. He's like, "Oh man, this is my favorite interview ever." And he loves talking about football. It was important to him. And it wasn't that he was Warren Sapp's backup. I mean, he was a blue chip recruit coming out of a really strong football area in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and he gets to Miami as a true freshman. He plays so well in the two-a-days that he's the only freshman. They decided not to redshirt. And those teams were stacked. You're talking about some of the best college football teams ever, and sent a ton of guys to pros. And on the last day of two-a-days, he goes to make a tackle, and he shreds his shoulder and has to have surgery, out for the year, gets redshirted. And to fill his spot, they convert this big, nimble tight end who was Warren Sapp. And it was just hard for Dwyane to get back on the field after that. But, I talked to his position coach was Ed Orgeron, who's now the LSU head coach, and he said, Dwyane he was a hell of a football player. I thought he was going to be an All-American. He's a tremendous athlete, worked really hard, had great football instinct. But you get Wally pipped by Warren Sapp, and what are you going to do? So, he did get drafted by the NFL. He went up to Calgary to try and play his way back into the big leagues and in the CFL, and he didn't stick there. And that ended his football career. And Dwyane's both his father and his grandfather were professional wrestlers, but he never really wanted that life. Football was all he thought about. It's all he dreamed about. And he said Michael Strahan was the guy he wanted to be. He wanted to be a defensive lineman for the Giants. He wanted to win the Super Bowl, and that was it. But after he washed out of football, he literally had $7 in his wallet. He had a degree, but he didn't have a plan. So he just kind of reluctantly went into the family business, and that was wrestling, and turned himself into The Rock and became kind of this phenomenon. But and because he was so charismatic as a wrestler, Hollywood came calling, and I talked to a bunch of people in that town, producers, actors, directors, and it was remarkable how many of them referenced Dwyane's football background and said, in this business, you get a lot of actors, and all they care about is their own performance, and they hide in their trailer, and live in this little bubble. And Dwyane is the ultimate team player. He tries to foster this chemistry on the set. He wants everyone else to succeed. He wants to make them better. His success is our success, and vice versa. And it was just like interviewing, coaches and athletes. They were saying the exact same cliches. And he's very coachable. You can give him direction and he takes it, and all these sorts of things. And it was interesting because that football background he's held on to, and he's kind of made it part of his journey through the motion picture business. And one thing Dwyane told me is that it's really the only thing he's ever failed at. He did a home run as a wrestler. He's the highest paid movie star in the world. Now he's become this behind the scenes mogul and producer. And he just keeps reinventing himself. But football is the only thing that he never succeeded in, and that still drives him. That's still that sense of unfinished business, and it's probably what led him to doing Ballers, that HBO show, was to go back into that world and kind of make peace with some of his demons. And so it's interesting, even 20 plus years after he left Miami, football is a big part of his story.